Just a couple seasons ahead of Andy.
Just a couple. All right. So here we are. Expanse season 1.
Yep.
I've continued on to season 5 now and I'm almost done with it. Just been watching it at work. What did you think, Burger?
It was pretty good until like the last 2 episodes. And then it kind of got dumb. But it still ended up being like okay.
What do you mean it got dumb?
Like the blue goo thing I just think
Proto
was kind of dumb.
molecule.
Well, they didn't name it. I don't think in the first season. I just think it was just kind of like a dumb thing because like everything before the molecule was just like real solid science fiction story stuff, and then you get to this proto molecule thing, and then it just kind of like magic MacGuffin thing. Like it just feels like a completely separate story that we were experiencing from everything else.
So I'm trying to remember where season 1 ends because like as soon as I finished season 1, I just kept going and I'm on season 5.
It's just like they got that mega dose of radiation.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it's when they're releasing the protomolecule on Eros, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Actually, no. Okay, so season 1 ends where the spy guy sees a magic blue guy appear right behind him, and then all the magic wires suck his face and take him up into the sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where, and like, I was like, like, I don't know.
Aliens, man.
Yeah, I don't even know if they were trying to say it's aliens or just some magic molecule.
It's a thing. It I like how so as the series goes on, they like kind of lose focus on that and they focus on other things, then it kind of comes back. It's like it doesn't like season 2 is kind of all focused on that proto molecule, I feel. And then it kind of just goes into the back burner for a little bit as it goes on. But season 1 solid for me. I'm not sure who my favorite character is. It's either Miller or it's Amos because Amos just doesn't give a fuck.
I mean, Amo, I don't know about just talking about it. This is hard for me to talk about because I can't talk about just season 1.
Yeah, because you've watched it all and read it all.
Yeah. I mean, I can because I made myself stop watching at the end of season 1 just so I knew where we would be on that one. And I can see what Berger was saying about how the molecule feels like it's just kind of forced on at the end there.
Yeah, it just seems completely different than everything else.
But it's really actually like the driving catalyst for like the entire series.
Yeah, hey, can you switch to your headset because like your mic keeps cutting in and out?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I could probably just try to sit up and talk to my mic.
I mean, either one, whichever one works best. But no, yeah, like if you see just like the end of season 1 and you just that proto molecule just pops in, you're like, okay, it really doesn't pay off until you just get into season 2 and see how it kind of just drives everything.
I mean, and it was there with the reactor when they found the stealth ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no. Like technically, what they show us could literally be anything. Because like the whole rest of the story is just like a bare knuckle sci-fi exploration. Like there's no real MacGuffins or anything like that. It's just like, we're traveling through space. Here's how we're doing this. Here's like economy stuff. Here's how some detective stuff might work. Here's like some corporation stuff. Like it's all relatively grounded up until the lady's growing crystals out of her mouth, and now the evil corp is sacrificing everything to the goo for some reason, and everybody's just kind of okay with it. Nobody's like, hey, is this kind of fucked? Nobody really does any of that, and then everybody's just like, we'll just get off the planet or off this rock. Okay.
I mean, people did care. They just were not the people in power.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like as you go further into the series, you see how it's kind of like, all right, so it's the future. They have all this technology and all that stuff. And then you kind of start looking at it. It's like, oh, it's kind of dystopian. It's very dystopian. Like, especially when you start like looking at things on Earth, it's like, oh yeah, Earth isn't really that great.
Well,
So like the whole thing with like corporations and them really not giving a shit about the humans and all that stuff, and it's specifically the Belters, because that comes into play again as well, where like people who live on the belt and didn't grow up on either Earth or Mars are basically just treated like fodder. So
I wouldn't go that far.
I mean,
They wreck all of the things eventually.
they do, but like it's definitely true that the Belters definitely get the short end of the stick all the time compared to the other two.
For sure they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like if we just take like the first episode where it's just like, oh, we found, stealth technology parts with this one guy and we're torturing him, trying to use gravity as like a thing because, if you lived in space, your body's not going to develop correctly. Like all that's like really smart, really well thought out. You've developed it, you're establishing characters, and then you get to like the season climax, and it's like there's a mystical space goo that has all these people enraptured, that just like eats people, and makes energy apparently, and then
I don't know if like they say it makes energy, but like I haven't really seen it make energy.
it's like shoots off sparks.
Yeah, I understand that, but like later on, like that whole thing about like you feed it energy and it makes energy thing doesn't really come into play. Which is kind of because like I don't know why they set that up, or like he was talking about that and then it just kind of went away.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I get why. Like at the end, like if you went into it like for hard sci-fi and then you get that mystical magic molecule thing, then yeah, it's kind of like, oh, this went the other way, and I'm not happy with it. But I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, I liked.
It's really hard to talk about any of like the plot points on that without giving everything away.
Yeah, like there's just so much that happens.
I mean, I liked the first season. I just think that like it was so good, and then it got a little dumb, and it kind of took away from stuff.
I can definitely see what you're saying there.
Yeah, if having not seen the rest,
is how good and grounded it is in like the basic sci-fi. Like when they're in space, like there's no artificial gravity, and they
juice up.
You got like if they're walking around, it's because they're under thrust, and like there's a billion things that they do so good in the show, that you don't see in most sci-fi shows.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, just from it being on the Sci-Fi Network, the production values were actually really good. Because first season was Sci-Fi Network. First 3 seasons were Sci-Fi Network, right?
Yeah, for a little while there, Sci-Fi made a handful of shows in the same time period. This time period, just when they made like The Magicians, that they were like really pushing to like make an actual show. I don't actually recommend watching it. It's fine that you've never seen The Magicians, but it's another one with a fairly high production value.
Okay.
Yeah, the show looked really nice. There were some CGI scenes where it got a little wonky, but like
that's TV CGI for you.
Yeah, but it looks pretty good. I don't know.
I like the low G sequences. They look pretty damn good for being TV CGI.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of attention was paid to it.
Well, I mean, it also helps that the people who wrote the book are also like heavily involved in the show. It seems they write a lot of the episodes, and they also get their executive producers. So I imagine that helps a ton.
I also like the way that they do like the naval fights, like when they're fighting in space. It feels like a naval battle as opposed to just
Blow
trying to
everything in the sky.
shields are down.
Oh yeah, I love how there's no shields. It's basically just like, oh, we got hit with something.
Yeah.
Shit's gonna happen.
I also love how like their defense is just to fire off every machine gun they can in every angle that they possibly can.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of Battlestar Galactica, and they're like, "Oh, there's nukes coming. Just fire all the flak cannons,
Yeah.
and
You're
hope
like,
that
you
we
don't
hit
go
something."
to stop in space, right? You know, every one of those is just gonna go till they hit something.
Yeah. Sir Isaac Newton is the deadliest son of a bitch in space.
Yeah.
I don't think Berger got the reference because you never played Mass Effect. If you ever get a chance, just look up Sir Isaac Newton is the deadliest son of a bitch in space and just watch the sequence. It's like a minute and a half. And it's all about how you don't just shoot at the hip in space because you're ruining someone's day someday in the future or today.
Okay.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know. In terms of
I kind of like Thomas Jane to play Dresden if they were ever going to do another live action Dresden.
Is he?
He's Miller,
You're
the
Miller.
detective.
Oh, you want him to?
Because he has the hat.
Walks around with a long hat. He's fairly tall. He's got the long hair almost.
But Dresden doesn't have a hat, Andy.
He does on the covers and on the spines, and that's what counts.
You're right, though. They never talk about it. He never says he's wearing a cowboy hat. He just always has the duster on. But all the show books do have him with the hat.
Yeah.
And he has put on a hat a couple times.
Yeah, as like an homage to the covers, but that's like whatever. But
it's just the whole detective stuff and the investigation part. And I was like, he's kind of snarky. I could kind of see him as Dresden. But the thing is, in Hollywood, you're not going to find someone as tall as Dresden in Hollywood. It just doesn't happen. Most actors are fairly short.
sure, I don't know. The whole like main plot line kind of reminded me of, in a very weird way, it reminded me of an episode of Star Trek TNG. The one where the like, I want to say the Federation, but that's not right. Starfleet, like the secret Starfleet subgroup, has
Section
a ship.
31?
Maybe, might be Section 31. But they're like trying to like get Warbird cloaking technology, but they accidentally phase the ship into the middle of a big rock. And so like in my head, I'm thinking of like, okay, so who actually did it in the mystery during like the like who's the actual whodunit here? And the whole time I'm thinking like, oh, there's gonna be mystery, but like it's so obvious that they forced it on Mars really early on. Like, what if there was a secret group that was doing, cloaking technology for Earth? Because I'm like, I don't believe that the Belters have a way to like manufacture this kind of ship. From what they were showing in the show, they just have the one guy building the Mormon ship, but they don't hint at any other kind of infrastructure for the Belters to do anything else.
Really,
huh?
He's not even really a Belter.
Yeah,
like
he's an earther. and he just
Well, right, but he's the
he's
like,
basically kind of a guiding force for the Belters. Yeah,
And it's a giant space station in the belt.
yeah.
But I wouldn't. You're right. Nobody in the OPA has any resources to build a
Yeah.
stealth to build a regular ship, not even a stealth ship.
right. He's the only one that would be OPA. That seems like he would have the infrastructure to do anything like that, but nothing in the show hints to it. So I'm like, is it like a double bluff? And actually, it's the Earth Federation that is secretly trying to build stealth technology. And then I don't know. It just like reminded me of that episode of Star Trek. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, dude, Jeff,
Especially for
Jeff, you keep getting like you're talking and then like it doesn't pick up your audio.
the bad guys' motives in this book are terrible. As much as I love the show and the book, like their plot line doesn't make any sense.
Joel Pierre Mile.
Yeah. Oh, we found this thing. Cool. Well, the first thing we should do with this is try to, make a solar system-wide war.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like a good idea.
That whole thing was like,
Maybe-
yeah, let's put him at war. I was like, why?
Like, I mean, I guess maybe they were trying to get people in power on both sides removed or something, but it seems like a really bad way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, the part with them experimenting on a station nobody cares about in Eros, that makes sense almost. But that whole thing where they said at one point in the show, I don't think they ever said it in the book, where they set up the Canterbury they set up that ship with a distress beacon as a trap for Canterbury, an ice hauler nobody cares about. Like,
I completely forgot about that subplot.
it seems like the stupidest way you could go about starting a war if you even actually wanted to start a war.
Yeah, you could just like bomb Mars or something.
Yeah. There seems like 100 ways you could do it that weren't nearly as ridiculous.
Also,
So we're going to start a minor water riot on a station in the belt that nobody really cares about by blowing up a ship that nobody cares about and then hoping everybody gets mad enough to do a thing. Meh.
do they ever get into why Mars has like kind of more advanced tech than Earth?
Doesn't.
In the show, they do. In the show and the book, they do.
Okay.
Everybody on Earth is on unemployment.
Pretty much.
Mars has to actually work to survive. Is their whole big thing between the difference of the two planets. That's why everybody on Mars hates everybody on Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, in the show, their explanation is kind of like, Mars has one single purpose, which is to terraform Mars, whereas Earth is just kind of lazy because everything's pretty great on Earth, or like at least it's like a habitable zone, so people are just like, I have a place to live.
Yeah.
But so I don't care.
Like Earth doesn't have stealth tech, but Mars does. Mars has, well, you haven't seen it yet, but their Marines are a lot fucking tougher than Earth ones. And I'm just wondering, like, does Earth just not know how to make this, or do they just not give a shit? Because they have a fleet, they have a military, but they just seem to kind of stagnate.
The Earth Marines aren't really any different than the Martian Marines. The Earth Marines might actually be tougher because of gravity is a thing, where they even say the gravity differential between Earth and Mars, if Earth tried to invade Mars, that it would be a definite disadvantage to their soldiers.
But the thing, like, from what I've seen at least, like, just in terms of personal gear between an Earth Marine and a Martian Marine, it's a huge fucking difference.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, does Earth just see it as like, oh, we don't really need to bother with it? Or is it more of like, oh, we don't know how the hell they're managing to make this stuff?
I think it's just the
It's
Mars
the
has, like,
overpopulation and bureaucracy, I think, is what it comes down to.
Okay.
yeah, like Mars has one purpose and Earth is just people going different directions, I think is the idea. so it doesn't seem as focused.
Earth is very much just like, it's fucking sad there when you start actually getting into like storylines in there. It's like, oh, people are miserable.
Yeah, wait till you get to like Amos's backstory.
That's what I'm in right now, and I'm like, oh shit, it's kind of fucked down there.
But even the stealth ships weren't really built by Mars. They were built in Luna. They were built on the moon.
I thought the drives were built on the moon.
You're right. They might have built the drives there and then moved them away to somewhere else to incorporate and shuffle things.
Yeah, because remember, Christian was able to see like where they built the drives, and then she was like, "Where did these drives go?" So she immediately thought it was something with the UNN fleet.
Yeah,
and then it turns out, oh no, it's not.
That the Earth doesn't have the tech. It's that the government of Earth doesn't know its head from its ass, which is pretty standard.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
There's no like just one goal
the Mars
for the people.
Ends up being even worse, though. So
what's that?
I gotta go. I said the Mars government ends up being even worse. But
like, I'm watching. I'm like, they really don't go much into the Mars government stuff. I'm guessing that happens in like season 6.
Maybe.
Because I'm like at the end of season 5 here, and like really all I've seen of Mars is like their military.
If you're in Amos's backstory, you should be more into the Mars side of things.
He's still on Earth, is all I can say.
Okay.
But there's like 2 episodes left in the season, so I mean, if something happens with Mars, it better happen quick.
Yeah.
Unless you're talking about Bobby. Okay.
It's a different thing.
Okay.
And it's probably the whole plot point for the next season you're about to watch.
Okay. All right. I'll have to, yeah. I don't know. I won't be able to watch tonight because tonight's my busy night. But yeah, I'm definitely just going to finish binging the whole show.
Yeah. I think the show itself is great. I love the hard sci-fi part of it. I love that they have mag boots to walk around and the way the ships are built so that if it takes off vertically, everything on a ship is wrong because it has to be.
Like I like how there's like no viewports like almost anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, it's like that's a structural weakness. We can't have that. And like debris is a huge problem. Like you can just get ship punctures from anything. Like that one, the med guy from the ship, he gets his fucking head just gets launched off his body.
And then she fixes the hole with a 3-ring binder to a thing of glue.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It only needs to cover one atmosphere. Wouldn't work on a submarine.
It's a spaceship, so I would say somewhere between 0 and 1.
Isn't that Farnsworth?
Yeah.
Is that where they go to Atlantis?
No, the lost city of Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, Atlanta, I forgot. That's how it is in there. But, yeah, no, definitely recommend season 1 of The Expanse. I might pick up the books at some point soon and give them a read and see what I like better. Although I might be biased now to the show since I've watched the show first.
I don't know. It was good, but I don't need more.
I was in a weird spot with this one when I started it, like because I read all the books. I don't think I read all the books before the show came out. I think I read the first 2 books, and then set it down and forgot about it until the show started coming out. And I watched the first season, and I think I went back through and finished the books. Except for the last one, which isn't out yet. But
aren't there like 2 more coming out?
I think there's only 1.
I thought there was 2 more books coming out. Let me see if I can look this up just in case. So in November you have Leviathan Falls, and then apparently in March next year there's going to be Memories Legion, which apparently is just a collection of short stories.
Yeah, they've already
just one novel.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's just one more that's supposed to tie everything up.
Gotcha.
I think Amazon said they're only doing one more season too, which isn't going to cover everything, but it'll cover till the books get weird.
Oh, like the books. What do you mean till the books get weird? Like how weird do they get?
There's just like a 20-year time jump.
Okay, so the show is going to cover that one era, and then the jump is probably not going to get covered at all.
Yeah, they're probably just not going to mess with that.
Okay, I'm okay with
Which
that.
makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I'm okay with that then.
It was kind of weird to pick up a book and read it and be like, oh, and 20 years later, and you're just like, I read 6 books and you give me and 20 years later?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so now we have to discuss what's happening next. So we have the Expanse, and I think you said you wanted to watch some anime there, Burger.
Oh my god, you want to watch an anime?
Well, I mean, I haven't really prepared anything to watch next because I've been binge watching the show, so I really
Sure.
don't have anything. And I know that you really wanting to watch the anime, and I think Nate was also really wanting to watch the anime, or at least he seemed interested because he did ask you for your Crunchyroll thing.
Yeah.
So what is the name of the anime?
The one that I was trying to push was Jujutsu Kaisen.
Can you spell it, or like just plug in the name in the chat because I have no idea what to look for.
Yeah, just JUTSU, and then Kaizen KAIZEN or SEN KAISEN.
See what this is about.
It's about like cursed objects and things, right?
Is there any jujitsu in it?
I'm watching the wrong one.
It's not jujitsu, JUI, but it is. I don't know. It's There's like one season of it right now. It's kind of about Hogwarts for kids that can fight evil spirits, as well as like normal people. Absolutely gorgeous show. Has some of the best like fight scenes that has been made in a little while.
But there's no jujitsu in it?
There's like some martial arts stuff, but it's not specifically jujitsu, which is JUI.
Well, no.
So it's a
That spelling of jujitsu is an anglicized spelling for it. The original spelling for jujitsu is how that show has it spelled.
Okay. I mean, it is like a martial art, but I don't know what jujitsu stands for in that case then.
Okay. Is it any kind of like judo type stuff?
It's a lot of made up.
Okay. Well, it's an
Fantasy,
anime.
battle.
I should kind of expect that.
Yeah. Like it has like a lot of the fight scenes are really cool looking. There's like lots of different types of fighting styles, different characters. It's a little bit more of a brutal kind of show. Like people die.
People die all the time.
Yeah, people die at the fair.
Is this a one? Is this so? I know that a lot of animes are just like one and done. Is this a one and done type thing, like Cowboy
for
Bebop,
right now,
or is it?
No, this is there's a manga for it that's serialized in Shonen Jump, I think. It could be one of the slightly more adult things, but it's like one of the more popular mangas that is out there right now. They've only done one season of the show so far. I think season 2 has already been announced. It just hasn't come out yet. The first season was great. Really enjoyed it.
I was looking at the Wikipedia page and I'm like, it says TBS for the original network. I'm like, wait, this thing's on TBS? But no, apparently TBS is a
Tokyo Broadcasting.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? All right, so Jujutsu Kaisen season 1.
Yeah.
Do you know if Nate already started watching it, or was he watching something else that you had recommended when you got your Crunchyroll?
You know, he was watching Sacred. It looks like he watched some
What the
Jujutsu
hell is
Kaisen.
Sacred?
Some dog shit anime. It's like S-cry-ed.
Oh, I remember S
Uh,
Cryed.
yeah.
Are you?
I think
Is it actually pronounced Sacred? Because like the way the title is written, it's like it's S hyphen cry all caps and then hyphen ed.
yeah, I think it's supposed to be Sacred, but like I never watched the show. I just remember watching some of it and it being dog shit. And I think somebody's like, it's supposed to be sacred. This is just like a cool spelling of it.
Okay.
But like but it's so old. This was like before I ever
Yeah, I think I
like was.
remember seeing it. I think it was like on was it? It was either Adult Swim or Toonami, from what I can remember.
Yeah, something like that. But it's like it was like one of those things before like I was really paying attention to anime. Um, so I have no idea how it's supposed to be pronounced. But I think somebody told me once, like it's supposed to be sacred, and it's like okay.
Which there was another anime that I remember being on Cartoon Network. I can't for the life of me remember the name of it, but like something with the shell bullet. It was so fucking weird and stupid, and there was like I think some kind of racing involved, and it just looked so fucking bad.
Ghost in the Shell?
No, not Ghost in the Shell. Like one of the characters was like called like something of the shell bullet, and I was like, "What?" And it, like his arm would like transform into like some kind of like weird robot thing. It was I tried watching an episode and I was like, "This is just no."
Trigon? I don't know what.
No, it wasn't
I've
Trigon. It was not Trigon.
Is there a list of like
common animes and you might have seen.
well just animes that have listed on
Actually,
Adult Swim?
you know what? I think it actually was S Cryed.
Okay.
That's why we both think it's just utter garbage. Yes, it is S Cryed. Looking at the S Cryed wiki, that's it. Kazuma of the Shell Bullet is like the guy's like fucking title. It's so bad. Here, this dumb shit. It just looks so bad.
Yeah. I remember that arm. Yeah.
I would totally agree with you. That is utter garbage. I will never watch that. Okay. I'll let Nate know. I don't know if he'll be able to join us. Like he's doing like deliveries today apparently. That's why he couldn't join us.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, next week, Jujutsu Kaisen. Let's see how this turns out.
I think there might be a dubbed version. There should be. It was so popular.
I mean, I can do subtitles. I'm
There's a
fine with
dub
it.
version on
Okay.
Crunchyroll.